Last week, I made a pizza with all Trump's bread flour, high gluten for the first time ever, and it tasted so good. I loved it. There's only one problem with it. You can see here that the crust was way too limp. It was just floppy. Usually it's not like that. I made two mistakes here I wanted to talk about real quick. Number one, I stretched the dough a little too thin. I wasn't used to how soft and nimble that dough was. The All Trump's flour has properties similar to the 00 flour. At least it feels like it to me, where it stretches out really fast and it's just really soft. And then what I did was I was trying to show the camera here how thin it was, and how strong it was. So I stretched it out a little bit more and held it up, and that just overdid it. So my dough last week was stretched too thin. The crust was a little too thin. That was problem number one. Problem number two was something I've done before, a mistake I've done before, and I've talked about it before, and I'm mad at myself for doing it again. But I use tomatoes from the freezer. So normally what I do is I'll take canned tomatoes out, blend them, mix the salt in, whatever I'm doing there. And then I'll make my pizza and put it in the fridge. If I don't use it for a couple of days, then I'll put it in the freezer and use the leftovers for tomato sauce or something. Because what happens when you freeze them, the solids separate from the water in there and the juice. It really looks like water. It's like really clear water almost. And even when you stir back together after it thaws out, it still has a tendency to separate. So the tendency is for the water to separate and get absorbed into the crust, and the crust becomes soggier. And I've learned that before, and I've talked about that on here before, and I'm mad. I made the same mistake last week. So I'm recommitting. I'm not going to do that again. I've got some fresh tomatoes here. So the purpose of this video has 2 points. Number one, I want to make a pizza that has a crispy crust, like a lot of pizzerias do in New York. Not all of them, but most of them have a fairly good crisp. What I'm looking for is when I take this slice and I fold it, then it should have a couple of cracks on the bottom. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, I'm doing something new here. I want to make a big slice of pizza, like from an 18-inch pizza. 18 inches is the most common size in New York. Some bigger, some do it smaller. 18 inches is pretty standard though. There's been all sorts of guys trying to do this. Here's one video that Chris from Chicago sent me. Thanks, Chris. You see what he's doing here is this guy made this squarish pizza and just cut a diagonal line and called it good. Now the problem is the dimensions aren't going to be accurate with that, because when you're making a pizza, the center of it is always going to be the thinnest, and it gets a little bit thicker and thicker and thicker until it gets to the rim. When you just slice it like that diagonally, then the pointy part of the slice is going to be thicker than the middle part, and it's just not authentic. So I'm trying to make it really authentic. And the problem, of course, is my home oven is not big enough for an 18-inch pie. And so what I'm going to try here is I'm going to make an 18-inch pie and then cut the slices and then try to bake each individual slice. And I'm going to see if that works. Now, I know that the edge of the slice is going to be treated differently than it otherwise normally would if you're cutting after you bake the pie. So what I'm doing to compensate is I'm actually trying to make a 19-inch pie, and I'm going to cut the slice, dress it, put it in the oven, and then I'm going to, after it's baked, I'm going to trim the sides down to make it look better, to make it have more authentic feel to it, more authentic look to it. I'm going to see if that works. So what I've done is I've multiplied everything in my recipe by 2.5 to make a 19-inch pizza. That's the math I came up with. I'm not great at math, but I think I got it right. All I did was I looked online and I got the surface area of a 12-inch pizza, which is my regular one. And then I got the surface area of a 19-inch pizza, and I divided it so that I found out the difference was 2.5. So an 19-inch pizza has 2.5 times the surface area of a 12-inch pizza, according to my math. So we'll see if it's done. I've never made a pizza this big. I've never shaped one this big. This is all new to me. I've got the dough right here. This is my regular recipe, my regular overnight recipe. I'll put the recipe in the video description if you like. So let's get started. I'm going to do my best to shape a large pizza before, never done it before. And like I was saying, I learned last week that the All Trumps flour is really, really soft and supple. And so in the future, I'm probably going to experiment with a lower hydration content. And this is 65%. 65% works perfect for the King Arthur bread flour that I usually use or have been using. I don't know. I think we can bring it down a little bit with the All Trumps flour. This is just so soft. Wow. So I'll probably try to make it like 60% or something. See the comparison. I'll do that sometime. I'm just trying to be careful not to overstretch this. And I hope that my math is correct. It's looking like it might be. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, this flour is so soft, which is fine. You can see how fast that was to shape it. Let me get a ruler or a measuring tape measure. Let's see where we're at. Okay, that's about 17 inches. I'm just afraid of overstretching it again. So just going to gently stretch it out a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Yeah, it's 19 inches, 18 and a half. So that's it. I'm gonna cut a slice, put it on. I'm a little bit concerned about how well one slice is going to slide off of this peel. Well, let's see. Okay, let's try this. I'm thinking if I put the heavier rim towards here, it'll slide off a little better, maybe. Let's try it. And by the way, I've been getting comments since I started this channel about how we need to make an 18-inch pie, like it's not authentic. I don't know. There's some truth to that, I guess, but I mean, it's going to taste the same, but I think it would be fun to have some larger slices. I don't want to get too close to the rim because I don't want this stuff sliding off and gunking up my pizza still. Probably going to happen anyways. Let's see. Okay. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it slid off nice. So I'll check back in about 4 minutes. Okay, it's looking done. It's been just over 4 minutes. All right, let's bring it up. Take a closer look. Okay, so you can see the concept worked. I made it. Now this is what I was afraid of. Like the edges are going to be different. You see how they just look weird. So that's why I'm going to use my Pizzori pizza slicer to trim the edges. That's looking really good though. That's hot. Hold on. So also what I'm going to do here in New York, when you buy a slice of pizza, they put it back in the oven for about 1 minute just to reheat it, you know. But what that does, it also gives the bottom an extra crisp. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to let this cool down for a couple minutes and put it back in the oven for 1 minute and see how crispy it is. Right now it's looking really good. This rim is so lightweight and bubbly, airy. Ooh, this is going to be good. So I'll check back in a couple minutes. Okay, I just put it back in for a minute and it's out. Let's take a look. So you can see it's holding its shape really well. I'm gonna fold it. We should see some cracking here. Ah, it's hot. Yep. See those cracks? Exactly how we want it. See how it maintains its. Oh my gosh, that's hot. See how it maintains its integrity there when you hold it up? That's perfect. So as you can see, this looks pretty good. I think what I'm gonna do next time is make the pizza even bigger. Because you know, some places in New York sell those great big slices. I don't even know how big the pizza is, maybe 22 inches, 24 inches. That'd be more ideal. If you're gonna have a pizza party, this would be a really fun thing to do, to make some giant slices of pizza. So I think this experiment was a success. My math was correct, surprisingly. My technique of sliding in the pizza that way worked. And overall, it's a really good looking piece of pizza. So that's the experiment. I think sometime I'm going to try that. Actually, just plan on it. I'm going to do like a really big pizza and just make great big, you know, one of those great big slices you buy in on the streets in New York. I used to live there like 20 years ago. You used to be able to buy a big slice for like $1.50, like pretty good quality. I know it's not that much anymore, probably 3 times that. But anyways, this is it. Mm. It was so good. I don't think you can hear it, but the bottom just has this crunch to it. Mm. That is so good. All right, thanks for watching. Hey, it's the next day. I didn't want to make a whole separate video, so I made some dough last night to try a larger pizza today. I did just about the exact same thing. The only difference was I made the dough with 62% hydration, and it seems like that's the right hydration for all Trump's flour. So I'm going to keep doing that. And then secondly, I just made the pizza 24 inches, and this is what it looks like. This is the closest you're going to get to New York pizza in your house. Look at these beautiful slices here. Ooh, hot. Just came out. I don't know if you can see the cracking there and there. Oh, it's hot. Sorry, but this is it. Hmm. Outstanding. Um, you know, doing the smaller pizza, it worked good, the 18-inch, but it was just too much work for 1 or 2 slices at a time. I think the play is to make a 24-inch pizza or even bigger, and then you could make these slices individually, put them out if you're gonna have a pizza party, and then just pop back in the oven for a minute to heat them up. And that'd be a really fun pizza party. I mean, this is it. If you do this, not many people can make this pizza at home. Outstanding. Special thanks to my sponsors, Pittori. This thing works so well. Pizza cutter and also the cast iron pizza pan. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments.